Working in retail is never easy, especially when you have to deal with a bunch of crazies. Welcome to this episode of Tales from Retail. Our first tale is from Frosted Weasel. Long story short, customer yells and swears at me. I yell back louder, manager steps in, and I keep my job. To put context around this story, I have to tell you a few things. First, I've been working at my current company for almost a decade, in different stores and the warehouse I'm currently at in various positions. I took my current role as the lowest level of management to not be customer facing anymore. Recently, we've started doing customer pickups out of my warehouse, and I'm the primary for that 3 days a week. The rule for pickup is that furniture has to be in factory packaging, not the wrapping we use for delivery and storage. Also, I spent some time as an infantry team leader in Iraq about 15 years ago, working nothing but retail and warehouses ever since. Two customers come in to get their furniture. They had been told earlier in the day that one piece didn't arrive. They start being loud and belligerent to my associate, so she comes to get me. They're a father, 60-ish, and a son, 40-ish, with thick Eastern European accents. I try to calm things down and explain to them that they have to wait a day for the missing piece. They're free to take what we have or take everything tomorrow. They start yelling at me. I'm okay with this. When I tell them they're free to contact their salesman about the issue, they begin swearing at me and telling me it's my job to call him. The receipt label is company, and your label is company. You fucking call him. Referring to the logo on my shirt. Their verbal and physical communication has changed to being very aggressive. My immediate and unthinking physical reaction is to shift my body weight and ready myself for a violent altercation. Not the right answer, I know, but decade-old reflexes are still reflexes. I lose my cool, and that old combat team leader voice comes out. Gentlemen, you are more than welcome to take what is here or cancel your order, comes out of my mouth. There's a stunned silence for about 3 seconds, and then they start right up again. It's always like this whenever we go. The other store, that other store, the post office, everywhere. I don't tell them that maybe they're the problem. I do tell them that I cannot give them what they want because it's for another customer and I could lose my job. Fuck that customer and fuck your job. That's not my problem, gimme. I turned to the associate who originally dealt with them and asked her to get the closest manager. I'm shaking from adrenaline dump, but controlling it. My brain is doing threat assessment, my body is prepping for one of them to swing on me, and my mouth is clamped shut so I don't say anything worse. Manager comes over, talks to them as they yell about how bad we were, and gives them the piece from our storage bins that was for another customer. His call, not mine. And magically, they're just so happy and helpful getting their furniture loaded. The father even hugs the manager and tries to shake my hand. I'm nothing but shaking rage, saying politely yes sirs and no sirs until they leave. I told the associate she was free to take her lunch and that I'd deal with pickups until she was done. Manager commended me for not losing all of my shit on them. Took another 5 minutes after they left for the shakes to stop. I haven't had an interaction like that since I left the army. It was jarring to just have my switch flip back to on so fast. I'm not proud of how I acted in any way. In fact, I'm disappointed in myself for slipping to their level. As a leader, I should be better than that. That said, those guys can go to hell. At the end of the day, it just shows that these customers really didn't give a shit about anyone or anything except themselves and getting what they set out to get, and the fact that the manager caved and ended up giving them a piece of furniture that was for another customer. I mean, yeah, it's their call, but it's still enabling these people to do this shit again. This next tale is by Treble Hex. I work in a small family-owned shop that sells a variety of hardware and homewares. Today, a family came in with their very small daughter. I'm terrible at guessing ages, but she can't have been older than 6 or so. I'm busy facing up the garden section when I hear a loudly and enthusiastically exclaim, "Fanny!" Whatever the equivalent of a double take is for something you've heard rather than something you've seen. I did it. For context, I live in the UK. Fanny doesn't mean the same thing here that it does in the US. It doesn't mean butt. It means lady bits. Her mum clearly has the same record scratch moment that I did because she asks, "Did you just say Fanny?" "Fanny!" announces the kid again. She seems very excited about it. The whole time they're browsing around the shop and I can hear her going, "Fanny! Fanny!" And I'm starting to wonder if I'm mishearing her. Finally, they get to the till and I go to ring them up. As I'm scanning their things, she points to the box of battery-operated handheld fans that we had on the counter. "Fanny!" Her mum looks relieved to finally understand and tries to give the kid a graceful out. "Oh, you mean fans?" "Fanny," says the kid. "Mummy, can I have one?" At this point, the woman is obviously trying not to laugh, and the dad looks like he's dying inside. I'm trying to keep my face more "isn't that cute" rather than out-and-out schadenfreude. Probably butchered that. They pay and leave quickly, and my coworker and I have a good giggle at their expense once they're gone. They did not get their daughter a fanny. I'm very disappointed for her. What an insane relief for everybody involved when they finally realized that the fanny the little one was yelling about was an actual fan and nothing inappropriate. And our final tale is from Mysterious Clue 3500. I used to work retail at a mom-and-pop costume store. It was the Saturday before Halloween, and I was working the register closest to the door, which meant that I was handling returns and exchanges. Like most costume stores, all sales are final at our store. That being said, we did try our best to accommodate customers and would exchange sizes or issue refunds for costumes with manufacturer defects. We would also do repairs on items that were just crappily made. About 30 minutes into the shift, while I'm still fresh, luckily, this woman came in for a return and is told by the greeter that I can help her with it. She walks up to my register, completely ignoring the fact that I'm in the middle of checking someone out, starts to tell me she needs to do a return. I stop her and tell her I heard her conversation with the greeter, but she will have to wait until I'm done with my current transaction. She rolled her eyes at me but stepped aside. Once I was done, she hands me a dog's lobster costume and tells me she needs to return it. I ask if she has the receipt and why she's returning it. She says she doesn't have the receipt and that it was too small for her dog. I explain to her that all sales are final, but if she wants to exchange the size, we can try. She starts to try to argue, but I stop her and tell her before we can do anything, I need to look up her receipt. The best way to go about that is to scan the item and look up the sales history. When I go do that, nothing came up. I then try a keyword search. Nothing. Check the item list for a manufacturer. Nope. I ask the woman if she is sure she got this at our store, because as far as I can tell, we don't sell it. She then starts shrieking and cursing that of course she's sure. I ask her if she got her credit card app on her phone and can show me the transaction on her end that might help me find it. She continues to shriek at me and refuses. She then points to a generic price sticker on the front and tells me that is our store's price sticker. I pick up another item and show her what our store's price sticker actually looks like. At this point, she is literally turning red and cussing up a storm. She demands to see a manager. However, our manager was standing at the register next to me the whole time. He says that he's been listening in and there's nothing else we can do for her unless we can track down some record of the purchase. She then shrieks and cusses some more and goes to storm out of the store, but right as she reaches the door, she turns around and lobs the costume at me. I duck sideways and it misses. I call after her to have a good day. The owner asks me if I'm okay, which I shrugged and said sure. I picked up the costume, tossed it in our lost and found, and then continued on with my day. The next customer I checked out complimented me on my reflexes. At the end of Halloween, we would always have a little party and our owner would get us a cake. That year, one of my coworkers, who was also an artist, drew a cartoon of Lobster Lady to put on the cake so that we could all devour her. A few weeks after Halloween, when we were going through the Lost and Found, I picked up the costume and asked our owner what I should do with it, since no one had ever returned for it. He shrugged and told me to keep it because I had earned it. Whenever I see these and I see how the scammer, because that's exactly what this lady is, a return scammer, when they get all worked up and mad and bringing attention to themselves, I just ask myself why. If you're trying to run a return scam, a scam of any kind, which you really shouldn't be doing in the first place because it's fucked up, why would you bring all the attention to yourself on top of it? It's not going to help your cause. Not like they really had much cause to begin with. Alright, that's enough tales for the day. Well, that wraps up this episode of Tales from Retail. If you liked the video, please drop a like, share my content on all of your social media, subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to hit that bell so you're notified every time I upload, and drop a comment down below. It really helps with the algorithm and helps new people find my channel. Thanks for watching, thanks to my patrons and super thanks contributors. Have a great day and stay safe out there.